think it should be recording now. All right.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Here we have an informational Zoom interview with our new guest speaker. He's going to give a brief introduction of themselves.
Hello. I'm Chassidy Manlapid. I currently work at onsemi as an ESG reporting manager. It's headquartered out in Scottsdale, Arizona. I graduated from UC Irvine in 2020, and I got my degree in environmental science and policy, as well as criminology, law, and society. And then I also got a minor in global sustainability.
Wow, that's really cool. So, how did you become interested in this field? What are some of the things that motivated and inspired you to pursue this career?
Yeah, definitely. When I kind of first applied to undergrad, I didn't really know what I was interested in, except that I knew that I had a passion for the environment, kind of that saving the planet kind of thought. So I decided to pursue a degree in environmental science, which eventually turned into environmental science and policy. And while I was at UCI, I kind of felt like I wanted something else to supplement my bachelor's degree. So I looked into minors. And I saw the global sustainability minor, went through those classes, loved it so much. And once I graduated, I kind of went into a geology field and in consulting. And after a couple of years of that, I was like, I really want to end up in a career that I'm so passionate about. And I look back at my time at UCI, and one of the best times that I had there was when I was in my global sustainability classes, doing the final like projects for those, but also meeting some of the most like-minded and like empathetic people within the realm of sustainability. So that's kind of how I ended up at my job now, but also what allowed me to pursue a master's. So I'm also getting a master's of sustainability solutions at Arizona State University right now. So really kind of doing what I can to like further my knowledge in sustainability.
That's very, very cool. And is your pathway how most people get into this field? What are some common entry level jobs?
Yeah, I would definitely say within this field of sustainability, it's pretty a new industry. When you look at people who work in kind of corporate sustainability, which I work at, when you're thinking about like chief sustainability officers, sustainability analysts, things like that, because it's such a new industry, a lot of the times they will take people within the company that are like kind of have seniority and be like, okay, well, you know the business well enough. So we'll kind of just put you in these sustainability roles with people who are kind of joining the sustainability industry now with that educational background, so getting your bachelor's, your master's in sustainability or any environmental field, really, I think you're at a huge advantage because employers and other people in the field will see like you actually have that formal education of sustainability that not everyone in the industry has. So I think it's such a great advantage to be kind of studying it at a university level. Entry level jobs in sustainability. The world of sustainability is so vast. Like I've chosen to go the corporate route, but there's also food systems, there's water, there's environmental justice, there's indigenous knowledge. There's so many things. Um, but what I've also learned that because sustainability is such a niche industry, a lot of times, like I feel like your degree itself kind of allows you to like that's kind of your experience because again, not everyone in the industry has a sustainability degree or anything formal like that. So again, I think that puts you ahead, but I know there's always like those kind of like entry level like sustainability analyst roles or really anything that's environmental related, a sustainability or environmental background will kind of just like get you there.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then how relevant is your undergraduate major and your minor to your job now?
I honestly think it's pretty relevant. I think with the environmental science and policy degree, it gave me the background that I needed when it comes to just the kind of scientific systems that happen in our environment. Um, I definitely think my minor in global sustainability was a lot more relevant obviously because my job is in sustainability and my master's is specifically in sustainability. I think it's just a lot more narrow focus because when it comes to sustainability, it looks at the actions of the individuals, and especially when it comes to like reducing like carbon emissions and like overall environmental impact in general compared to environmental science. It's a lot of the science and the processes that happen in the environment. But I do value my undergrad education so much, and it just gave me such a very strong foundation that I was able to carry on into my master's.
Yeah, super cool. And then what skills, abilities, and these can be technical or interpersonal, which of these are essential to success in your job?
I kind of want to focus on the soft skills of it because I think definitely within like the environmental and sustainability sector, you are bound to have to communicate cross-functionally, because sustainability is something that, it's not it is kind of specific, but me in a corporate setting, like sustainability is something that should be viewed at from all functions of a business and not just like the sustainability department. It affects every aspect of business, whether it's like operations or like the financials or HR. Knowing that, like you kind of have to be able to communicate effectively with everyone across the organization that you engage with. So kind of having those people and communication skills is really key. Um, Hard skills, I mean, I think it's just a basic understanding of, what's happening in our world because there's a lot happening when related in relation to like climate change, the environment, a lot of regulations that are going on as well, even specifically in California. A lot of climate regulations have been coming out this past year. I think it's really important to keep up with all of those. And it also puts you ahead of the curve because so many businesses, organizations, individuals are being impacted by regulations and it's a lot to keep up with. So kind of keeping up with that is really beneficial. It's a lot, but also it's very, very vital to kind of the direction that our world is heading in when it comes to like climate and sustainability.
Yeah, that makes total sense. What is something that surprised you most in the first couple years of your job or even more recently?
Yeah, I definitely think, I don't know why I was so surprised by this, but when I started my master's program in sustainability, I was very nervous to go back to school after not being an undergrad for 3 years. I was like, I don't know how to do school anymore. But I also thought it was going to be extremely competitive. You hear a lot about master's programs, like kind of like MBA programs, and nothing against those. But just like, it's very competitive. It's a hard, like, I mean, it is hard. Um, but I think specifically with the realm of sustainability, like I've mentioned before, it's some of the most empathetic, kindest people. And I think obviously if you care about the planet and just kind of the direction that it's heading in, like you are going to meet some great, really, really great people. And for the first year of my program, I really stressed that so much because having a good support system as well is really what allowed me to thrive in, I mean, a graduate level environment. But then also going into my current job right now, just constantly being supported. But another thing I guess that surprised me is one, and I guess it's a good surprise, the world is picking up on how important sustainability is and the environment and just, again, the direction it's heading. The direction that it's heading in is a direction where everyone kind of needs to help out. So within a corporate setting, I've definitely been surprised with how much we need to collaborate with like again other departments, but also it's so nice to see that I have a CEO that genuinely cares about implementing sustainability within our business, within our strategy to make sure that we're doing our part in a positive way to kind of reduce our emissions. I know a lot of people kind of have a not the best view of corporations when it comes to sustainability, and that's so fair. I totally get it. It's not everyone's cup of tea. It's definitely mine, and I do feel the impact that I am making, and a lot, and all of my other colleagues within this space. Um, so again, sustainability is very niche. I've decided to pursue corporate, and it's worked very well for me, but it is very surprising how well it's worked for me, coming from a place that I've never really been working for a big corporation before, but I think they're doing great.
Yeah, I mean, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Speaking of support systems, how are you able to establish a work-life balance in your field? Kind of what does your daily day look like?
Yeah. Um, I've been thinking about this a lot, especially because I am doing my master's at the same time as working a full-time little corporate job. But of course, what I try to prioritize as well is like my personal time as well as my social time. Um, it's possible. I'm like this, it's possible. I think one of the biggest things for me is understanding my priorities. Obviously, like work is my priority, school is my priority, but having that kind of time for recharging and socializing is very key to me. Um, my biggest thing when it comes to understanding my time management is really relying on my calendar and my planner because I can visually, I'm just a very visual person, so I can see exactly like how much meetings I have for the day. When do I have class? When do I have school meetings? And then any of the other time in between, I'm like, okay, so this is the chunk of time I have. It's like, am I going to dedicate this to personal time or am I going to dedicate it to like seeing my friends, going out, things like that? Um, it's definitely been a work in progress because I will admit, like, this job is like, it's intense. I basically write our annual sustainability report. And it's kind of just me with help from everyone else. But, kind of going through such a big project like that, it does take time. So it's kind of almost an ebb and flow kind of thing. We have our highs, we have our lows, but it's kind of being able to adapt to it. Some days like I won't have time to see friends, other days I will. But I genuinely think it is understanding the balance and really prioritizing like what's most important in that day, in that week, in that month kind of thing, and just really taking a step back and understanding like what's going to work best for you and your priorities.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then additionally, what is something you wish you had known before you started in this corporate industry?
That's a great question. Everything. Just kidding. I do think like because I did not have a business background, I think that's like one of like my fatal flaws. Like I didn't really understand how corporations work, didn't really understand how business, finance works, any of that. And that's okay. It's not super essential to my job. It would make it a little bit easier if I did have that background. So when I was like in my master's program, like I did try to take like business classes to be able to understand how a business is organized, structured, how it functions. Um, again, a lot of it you can learn on the job with just like being able to communicate with the right people. But I will say that's like, again, if you're kind of looking into a corporate function, then I think it would be great to understand it. You totally don't have to, but that's kind of where I saw like some gaps for my knowledge. I was like, I don't really know what's going on, but I can figure it out. But there are obviously some other people that already know, and that doesn't like slow them down. So
Yeah. I think the learning as you grow is a really important mindset. And
yeah,
then my next
definitely.
question is, if you only had one piece of advice to tell everyone, what is the one piece of advice you would give?
Okay. I don't know how everyone would feel about this, but I would say pursue a career, pursue something in like what you're passionate about. I left my previous job in geology because I didn't feel like I loved what I did every day. I mean, I was 22 at the time. I was like, okay, like I have a job. I'm doing the thing, cool. but it's like it wasn't something that I was waking up every single day loving what I did. And I'm a very intentional person, so I really wanted that. And that's kind of what drove me to like getting my master's in specifically sustainability. Like I didn't want to go into a program like a master's in environmental science. Like I totally could have, but I had already known that like sustainability was what I genuinely derived like passion from when I was at UCI. So made sure I got a master's in sustainability, entered the corporate sustainability world, and I genuinely love the space that I'm in. I'm so grateful to be in the space that I'm in and do what I'm genuinely passionate about. Like, yes, I like might work long hours, but I know it's that I'm doing something that I genuinely enjoy. Like again, I hate finance. I don't understand it. If I was doing that for 8 hours a day, I would not love my life. So I am not gonna say I'm in love with my life right now, but genuinely choosing a career that I'm passionate about and I just love being in the sustainability space. Like that has changed my life tremendously. So pursue what you love. I know it's also it's hard, but I just think like at the end of the day, like when you're looking back at your life, like I want to make sure that I spent it doing something that I loved. And I really hope that in 50 years from now I can. Because right now I could say that.
Yeah, that's so impactful. Well, thank you so much for your interview today. If students have questions, can they email you? And if so, what is your email?
Oh my gosh, yes. Please do. My email, it's my name, so it's Chassidy.Manlapid at onsemi.com. Yeah, just let me know if you have any questions or if you ever want to talk about sustainability or anything like that. You can also find me on LinkedIn. But yeah, literally feel free for anyone to reach out.
All right. Well, that'll be the end of our interview now. I'll stop the recording.